Ken is one of the strongest and most popular characters in Street Fighter 6. With lots of incredible neutral tools, one of the best 50-50 mix-ups in the entire game, and great damage overall, it is no surprise that he has been on the very top of people's tier list ever since the game's release. Today, I want to go over all the tips and tricks that I have on how to beat Ken. Keep in mind that most of these examples will be shown as Cammy, but they can pretty much apply to any character in the game. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So first, let's go over neutral. So in neutral, the buttons that you're looking out for when fighting against Ken are usually going to be crouching medium kick, standing heavy kick, and his target buttons, standing heavy punch. Those are usually the ones that you want to look out for. Obviously, there's also like a sweep that you can look out for, whatever, but these are the main buttons. So my approach in neutral against Ken usually is to position myself just outside the range of crouching medium kick, because everything else isn't necessarily a threat to me in any way, shape, or form, except this button, which has less range. So I'm not really worried about the standing heavy punch too much. I'm mostly just worried about any of the kicks that he does have, right? If I position myself just outside of it and he presses a button right here, like I can just play around it and then I can start with punishing it. So this is usually what you want to go around, because if he does his regular kick right here, so let's say for example he mixes it up like this, even if you're just outside the range, you can probably cover both. Yeah, so if you're close enough, right, you can pretty much cover both of them. So always positioning yourself around what I would say like the mid-range, like around like right here, is what I think is best. That's usually how I approach the matchup. I approach it pretty slow, where I like try to walk in towards him, try to get to crouching medium kick range, and then there's two things you can do. You can either mash the button and I'll whiff punish it, or two, he doesn't press it and I'm able to go in and press jabs. So I can press jabs to like start some pressure, or even go as far as getting a throw in. This is usually what I'm looking at when it comes to neutral by itself. These are the buttons that you want to be looking out for, like his general buttons. Another button then once he is a bit closer is sustaining light kick is also really good. Once you do try to like get into the threat range a bit, this is a button you need to look out for. Let's rewind real quick. Crouching medium kick, this is the one you want to look out for at all times. This one can reach you a bit further than crouching medium kick, so you might get hit if you're too close. And obviously he can do his target combos right here. The good thing about the target combo though, right here, if he wants to use it, is that it's really minus right here. So it's negative 12, so if he does do it, you have full range to full punish it. The other is that you can drive impact it. You can punish counter this whenever you think it's going to happen, and you can't really do much against this, to be honest. You can't just cancel it into like anything if he wants to. So yeah, those are like the main ones that I'm looking into whenever like I'm fighting him. Now let's talk about the other neutral tools that he has, which are specials. His first special is his Hadouken, and how I see Hadouken actually is I see it as just an extended poke at like a mid-range. So if you're like right here, right, and I'm fighting against Ken, and I'm just outside the range, or like I'm a bit further away from, let's say for example, the crouching medium kick, right, nothing stops him from just pressing Hadouken right here. Like I can't really do anything. But if you are in the perfect range and he tries to press it, or you're aware that he's going to do it, you can do is just press a button, or like a poke button, right? So for example, standing medium kick with Cammy, or standing heavy kick. So you can stop it before it comes out at like any range, like right here. So you can just stop it before it comes out. Obviously, once it is out, you do have options as well, but like you usually try to avoid the button coming out in general. So you just try to like wiggle around here and do that. So I just see it as a poke essentially at like this range. Now let's say we go a bit further away, right? And we're like here, and like a bit further from the screen. And this is like something where like no matter what I do, I can't hit him, right? So what can you actually do here? As Cammy, what I can do is I can hard read it and spin knuckle and get like a full conversion and they just die, right? But I know not every character can do that. So what can you actually do? If you believe he's gonna go for a Hadouken at like any range like this, so like not like super far away, but like let's say like here for example, where you can't hit him, right, you can jump before the Hadouken itself comes out and then land with like for example standing heavy kick, and then you can punish and do whatever, right? So you have to do this before, because if you do it after, it won't punish counter and he can just DP you for it, right? This is like something super common that you've seen in pretty much any Street Fighter game. Hadouken into Shoryuken, super common thing, like you're pretty aware of this. But yeah, you can just jump over it. You just have to make sure it is before the move itself comes out, and then you can do whatever you want essentially. Now the other thing, which is good at any range in my opinion, is to just perfect parry it. And the reason why you're trying to perfect parry it is for two things. Number one, whenever you block Hadouken, as you can see, the drive gauge goes down. If you regularly parry it, you will get it back, so it's completely fine. But if you perfect parry it and they go for it again, you can buffer, for example, a dash in, right, or even a button, and then just go in, right? So you have the option of doing that. The other is as a defense mechanism against Ken's drive rush. So for example, one of the things that Ken players like to do is they like to do Hadouken, and then immediately as soon as they've done it, they like to just drive rush in, right? So they can do this, like full combo, and then you're in the corner, you're fucked, right? This isn't really anything like you can punish too hard at like certain distances, right? Like it isn't something that you can just punish straight up. Like it's very, very difficult. So what you can do is to perfect parry it, because if you perfect parry it, as you can see, like there's like a year before this even comes out. Right, and then you can just punish it right there. Obviously, this was like the faster Dokkan, so if you do like the slow one, there's like a lot more time for the Ken to do like what he wants to do. So if you're holding this one right here, a lot of the time you can just like go in and you'll get hit. Now let's go over the other special that Ken players like to use in neutral, which is this one, Dragonlash. So Dragonlash actually is a pretty strong mental stack by itself, because you're already looking for like Hadouken, you're already looking for like crouching medium kick. So this button by itself is like pretty good, because if I keep pressing like low buttons right here, like with punish or make my way in, it's basically low crush. It's like it's a guaranteed low crush. I can't do anything against this. Even if I crouching medium punch, right? Sometimes it will just go through straight up and I'll lose a trait right here. But if you do believe he's gonna go for it and it is within like your own like brain, like you're looking for it, you have a lot of solutions. So number one is to drive impact it. You straight up, you can just drive impact it and you're good to go. This is really, really good, like just in terms of damage and everything. Number two, you can do this, you perfect parry. This usually is really good when either you're running out of drive gauge, so you can't just commit to like a full bar, or if you're very close in health to death. So if you have like 2% health or like whatever, right, and you're about to die, perfect parry, you're good to go again. Number three is to also just jab it and get like an air juggle combo. That's it. And the last one is the aftermath itself, so like how you actually deal with it when you're supposed to be blocking it. Which leads into my next point, which is defense. So how do we actually defend against Ken? Now we've talked about neutral, which buttons he likes to go for. Now let's talk over defense, which leads us right into how to deal with this move right here on defense. Move itself is +2, so even if I press a button right here, as you can see, I'll lose this right here, right? If I try to do a throw, I lose 2, so there's no way for me to get like anything here essentially. So what can you do? Number one is to EXCP. This is the one I just default to the most, because every Ken will just press a button here or try to go for a throw. Rarely ever do they go for a shimmy. It's just not something that they like to do. And even if you do jump as Ken, Kami can still cover it with the EXTP. It is a risk, obviously, but this is like after like everything, like after you didn't perfect parry it, after you didn't DI it, all of that, like, you still have the option to like get out. The other one is just to delay tech throw. So if you do believe that they're gonna go for either jab or throw and you just want to be safe, all you have to do is just slightly delay the throw while you're blocking by like, let's say like 9 frames roughly, and then you can cover both options at the same time. Obviously the only thing that loses to this is just a shimmy, and then you'll get hit and you die for it, right? So you just gotta be like really careful. Right here, again, take a bunch of damage, you can get sent to the corner very easily. Ken is one of those characters that can just send you to the corner without like having to do anything, right? So you just gotta be very, very careful. But speaking of which, let's actually go into the corner and let me show you what Ken can do and what you can do against Ken right here in the corner. And usually what they will go for is something like this, where they want to go for a crouching medium kick, and if they want to play it safe, they want to go for a Dokkan. This is completely fake, by the way. So whenever you block this right here and they're even a little bit close, right here, like let's go like a bit further away actually, let's go like here. As you can see, you have 9 frames of advantage. So if I was to just block this right here, you can sweep it, and then you can cross up the opponent. This is something that any character can do if you have a frame 9 option that reaches here. You can even do like something like a frame 8 option. So if I'm like close right here, boom, boom, boom. Right, you can do whatever you want here as long as it's within frame data range. Usually in Burnout, they want to go for this a lot just to like play it safe, and as you can see, like it does not matter. I can just punish this. It is what it is. Crouching medium kick in general is like something where you just like to use like anything a bit more risky, so they want to go for either a crouching medium kick in the Dokkan, crouching medium kick in the Jinrai, which I'll get into in just a second. Right, so they have the option of going into all of that. Let's talk about how to deal with his Jinrai kicks. The Jinrai kicks is the next thing that they like to do after crouching medium kick, as we said. So you have 3 different mix-ups right here, right? It's number 1 is this into the low, and you have this into the high, and then you have this into just another kick essentially. And all of these options by itself are pretty much in Ken's favor, except one of them, which is the low. So if you do get hit by the low right here, oh sorry, if you block the low right here, he is -5, which means if you do have a light kick that is frame 5, you can catch him right here and then punish him for it. See? So this is like the safest option that you do have, which is just to hold it essentially and then see what he wants to do. Number 2, if you do know he's gonna go for it, you can just DI. and then you can side swap him, for example, do whatever. But essentially, this is like a call out. This is a genuine call out. You gotta be very, very careful with this one, because if you're too slow, he can just drive impact you back. So you have to do it pretty much the second he does it. You have to just like rip it right away, at least for the low. For the overhead, you have more time. So if you're hard calling out the overhead, like right here, for example, you have a lot more time, right? You can just do this during it, like it doesn't even matter. But usually they want to go for the low. So if you want to cover like all options at once, you have to pretty much hard call it and do it beforehand. Another option you can do is just to perfect parry like whatever comes afterwards. So you can perfect parry this, for example, if you think the high is coming, low, whatever, you can do all of that. And another one that is pretty good by itself is if you are a DP character, just DP out. So these are the main ways that you can deal with Jinrai kicks. Now let's look into situations where they'll actually do it, which are two of them that I have found to be like the most common ones. Number one is we already discussed through crouching medium kick, right? But number two is for the target combo right here, so which is standing medium punch into the heavy punch target. This by itself is very, very common. You've probably seen this a million times being done on you. And the reason why this is so common is because the target combo sucks. Target combo by itself, I'll just display this for you. It's -14. So I can literally, as Cammy, super for two different scenarios. I can super number one if he's gonna go for Jinrai right after because it's an opening, and number two I can go for super just if he just does it, right? And for Hadouken as well, if he Hadoukens I can do it right after too if it's not like a true block string. So essentially target combo by itself is extremely risky to do, so they want to use a special move in order to make it safe again, because this by itself is -14, but if you do Jinrai far enough away right here, you only -5, right? Which is fine. Like, you can just deal with that. That's completely okay. These are the most two common ways, and I just wanted to let you know that, like, this target combo, it's completely fake. You can just get hit out of it. It is what it is. So there isn't really, like, much that can be done here, essentially. From Ken's perspective, he just has to, like, commit to it one way or the other. Another thing on defense that I would highly recommend you to not do is to jump a bunch, because Ken is a DP character, which means he has a crosscut DP. If you don't know what a crosscut DP is, it is essentially being able to cover any opponent in the air on both sides of the screen at the same time. What you do is essentially a half circle and then you DP and cover DP from this side, and I can cover DP from this side. Ken can do the exact same. The good thing about it though is like you kind of do get a reset in a way, right? So like let's say for example like right here, as you can see, I hit my opponent with DP, I got 800 damage. Ken is like not in the corner anymore, so it can be worth sometimes. I'm just telling you in general, like you will get cross-cut and they will get into advantage pretty easily. Another thing to keep note of that's really important against Ken is whenever you're mid-screen, he actually is one of the only characters that can just stop and just press a jab and then you can't just DP, right? So like he can drive rush bait you, so you just also, there's another thing to be like concerned about and be careful of, right? I just want to let you know that. So what you can do is something like this, right? So you can throw you right here, immediate drive rush, jab, and then just wait for you to DP essentially, right? These are like my general tips and tricks on defense. And now let's go over what we actually do when Ken is the one in the corner, so we're the one who got a neutral win. The things you need to consider are two of them. Number one, he does have an EXDP, so whenever you do actually approach him, he can just get out if you just keep mashing buttons, right? So you got to be careful about that. But the second thing that is really, really interesting about Ken in particular is his level 1 is a side swap. So if we would do on wake up, his level 1 real quick. Look at where we're at. I'm in the corner now. He's completely mid-screen. He's already gone. So you need to be very aware of two things. What is his drive gauge and what is his meter? If he even has a singular bar, he can sideswap you whenever he wants to. So I'll be incredibly careful about that. The EXDP is really, really strong, and especially his level 1 is really good because it just forces you to be in the corner and he's free again. You can do whatever you want. So careful. Very, very careful. In general, which buttons should you be looking out for when Ken is in the corner, and how do you punish them? Again, crouching medium kick is incredibly good on offense. And the biggest reason why is simply because whenever I press buttons here, if he does like anything here, I will get caught pretty much every single time. I can't really escape this even if I press like 3 different buttons here. 1, 2, 3. Like there's no way for me to like do anything here. I will get hit by this, right? So what can you actually do? Here is one setup that I found that is a perfect space trap, which is to do crouching light kick, crouching light punch, and then standing light kick. And if you do this consecutively, as you can see, you're just outside the range of the crouching medium kick. So what you want to do is walk back a singular step and then do a crouching medium kick right after, so you can whiff punish. You can also do a crouching medium punch. There's also another thing, you just have to be careful with this one a little bit more, right? But yeah, if you do manage to get this, it's great. You get a bunch of damage. You can actually just finish the opponent off this if you're smart about it, right? Like right here, this entire combo, which does like, I believe around like 5k. Yeah, 5.1k, right? So you can just get this off with this one combo. So you can basically like finish the opponent if you're careful enough. This is like a really good setup that you can do. And another one that's just in general like a good thing is if your character has like an actual ender. So for example, just like Ken has an actual ender here, right? If you're like further away, you can do this, for example, just to like end the pressure before you can even press anything. Cammy really doesn't have this. What Cammy does have, which is really good, is a dive kick. So what you can do is, even though this would technically hit me, right? I can just let go and just dive kick immediately and reset the turn, essentially, and go off of that. So if you believe he's gonna go for a crouching medium kick or like any low button that is going to be like deadly, if you're just outside the range of like all the light pokes, for example, you can just dive kick, not give a fuck, right? And you can just punish this and go from there. This is one of the things that I use very, very frequently against Ken players because they love to use crouching medium kick. It's basically like their favorite button. Space trap number 1 against crouching medium kick. This one right here, really, really good, right? So this one you can use stress-free, doesn't fucking matter. You can do it standing, crouching, whatever you want. Another option you have as Cammy in particular, actually, is to use forward heavy kick. So if you're right here, boom, boom, you can use forward heavy kick, which is a really good option against this too. If you just want to get like a meterless thing or like not risk anything for like other buttons hitting you, this can work as well. This works against like all jabs too. This is the best way to deal with it as Cammy overall. And in general, I just want to suggest that you do not get hit by like basically anything that he can do in the corner, because if you do manage to get hit, what he can do is just literally push you into the corner by himself. See, he can do whatever he wants afterwards. Usually what he wants to go for is either a super here or Shoryuken, anything, but you get the point, right? If you do get hit here and he does have enough drive gauge, like if he has the free bars, he can just push into the corner for free. So you just gotta be very careful with positioning yourself. Usually I like to rush him down at first, and then once I have a feel for which buttons they like to press, I position myself just outside of that range. So let's say, for example, he always wants to use light kick, right? I would position myself just outside the range of light kick, just like standing like right here, right? And then I would like try to punish or play around it more. Crouching medium kick, same deal. Or like if they like to press it around here, I'll whip punish it, I'll do whatever I want here, right? And then I'll be fine. I think this is pretty much everything about Ken. Obviously there's some more misc stuff, like some very, very niche situations you can deal with, but I think I gave a pretty good insight on how I deal with Ken and how the Ken matchup should be approached. Again, it's a matchup that is mostly based on just who plays better overall, like who has like the better footsie game, better offense, better defense. There isn't really anything in particular that gives like anyone else like a significant advantage in the matchup, which is why I think like Cammy versus Ken is like kind of even. If anything, it might be very slightly in Cammy's favor, just because whenever he had Dokens, I just get free reign. I can get in. This is basically everything I have to say about the matchup. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you have any questions in particular, you're more than welcome to ask as well. Like, oh, you forgot this scenario, what can you do? Maybe I'll answer it as a short or anything like that, or I'll answer in the comments. So yeah, without further ado, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.